elastic collision is one in which after the interaction, kinetic energy and momentum of the objects is conserved. I gave you example, collisions among the glass molecules, they are elastic collisions, perfectly elastic collision rather we can say. And what else? If a ball that is thrown on the floor and it rebounds back to the same height, then this is also an example of elastic collision. So that day we were doing elastic collision in one dimension. So let us continue with the derivation. Our aim is when two balls are moving in one direction, particular direction, and they collide, after the collision, what are their final velocities v1 and v2? We are to find those. So I left up to this equation. Okay, we are to find v1 from here. Okay. So taking v1 from this equation, get v1 is m1 minus m2 over m1 plus m2 into u1 plus 2 m2 u2 over m1 plus l2. So we get v1 equal to this. This is a known formula, but we have to keep in mind. Okay. So this gives us final velocity of ball 1 after the collision. This is final velocity of ball 1 after the collision. Right? So I can box it. Now we need not derive V2. We need not derive an expression for V2. 1 ka 2, 2 ka 1. Okay, we will write the expression for V2 also. So we are to derive only V1. Then analogically we will write V2 also. Just we will replace 1 and 2. So it will become M2 minus M1. M1 plus M2 doesn't make any difference because it is the addition. U2 plus 2 M1 U1 over M1 plus M. So this is the velocity of second ball after this elastic collision in one dimension. So mind it, these are the velocities of the objects after they collide in one dimension. Okay, provided their direction remains the same. So I hope these velocities V1 and V2 are clear to you. If there is any doubt, you people can raise your hand. Yes, students, in case of any doubt in this derivation, you can raise the hand. Is that clear? Right? And we also calculated coefficient of restitution for perfectly elastic collision. What is its value? 1, unity. For perfectly elastic collision, the value of coefficient of restitution comes up to be 1. Okay, so I hope these expressions of final velocities V1 and V2 are clear to you. Now we are going to discuss special case. So case 1. First of all, case 1. Suppose masses of both the objects were same. Suppose masses of both the objects are same equal to m. Right? So let us put m in both the expressions. Let us find what will be the velocities v1 and v2. So put m1 equal to m2 equal to m here. v1. This term vanishes because we have difference of m1 and m2. It will become 0. So we are left with this term 2m u2 over m plus m. That becomes 2m over 2m u2. 2m gets cancelled and we get v1 equal to u. So the final velocity of first ball is equal to initial velocity of second ball. Okay, the velocity with which second ball was moving initially, it will be now the velocity or final velocity of first ball. After the collision, first ball will start moving with that velocity. Same way we can find v2 also. After solving, this term vanishes and same way 2m over 2m u1, it will become u1. So we arrive at a very important conclusion that they exchange their velocity. Okay, that means both the objects they have exchanged their velocities after elastic collision, provided their masses are the same. Okay, this is the proper. We can comment on the result. We can discuss the result. Let us frame the situation first. So we have two objects of equal masses. When they collide, what will happen? The second ball will start moving with initial velocity of first ball, and first ball will start moving with initial velocity of second ball. That means they will interchange their velocity. So you can have very well, you can have a picture of billiard balls in front of you. In that case, this is the situation always, this happens there. Another example, very important example I was telling you yesterday also, that in moderator, how are the fast neutrons slowed down? You know, usually the moderator in nuclear reactor, that is heavy water, B2O. So the neutrons in heavy water, they have almost the same mass as neutrons. Okay, in nuclear reactor, what is the requirement? We want to slow down the fast neutrons to achieve the desired product. They need to be slowed down. After the fission reaction, their energy is very large. So they come out with very large velocities, which is not required. Okay, so they need to be slowed down with the help of a moderator, which is heavy water. So neutrons and neutrons, they have same masses, and since they collide elastically, they change their velocity. Neutrons, they were moving slowly. Okay, so neutrons, they start moving with velocities of neutrons, and hence they are. So they exchange their velocities. This way, the neutrons, they are slowed down. So write an example of this. Write the example. Example, in nuclear reactor, a moderator. In a nuclear reactor, a moderator slows down the fast neutrons. A moderator slows down the fast neutrons through elastic collision. Through elastic collision between neutrons and neutrons. Neutrons and neutrons which have same mass, and you can tell the objects of equal masses, they collide elastically, then they exchange their velocity. I hope this first case is clear to you. You can also continue with the second. So let us take second special case u2 equal to 0. Let us take the second object as rest before the relation. Let us simplify it further, right? Next case is case 2, as I told you. Let us take u2 b equal to 0. That means second object, second ball was at rest initially. So then three sub cases arise. Sub case 1. Further, if their masses are equal also, and second ball is at rest also. Let us discuss. So first of all, put u2 equal to 0 here. Our expression gets. So let us write before putting m1 and 2 equal to n in these expressions, our velocities, they get simplified, and the formula becomes put u2 equal to 0. So we are left with only the first part. And v2 will become 2m1 u1 over m1 plus n. So now we will discuss the three subcases with masses equal, with one mass exceedingly large as compared to the other, and with one mass exceedingly smaller as compared to the other mass, right? So this is the first subcase if masses are also equal and second object is also stationary. So put u2 equal to, put masses equal to m now. So what will be v1? m1 minus m2, this term vanishes. So v1 equal to 0. And how much is v2? Put m1, m2 equal. Then this will be 2m over 2m into u1. So we have v2 equal to u1. So how you can imagine the situation? We can imagine the situation with billiard ball. Exactly this happens. So we have one billiard ball moving with velocity u1. Its mass. We are taking masses to be the same. It collides with another period ball which is at rest. u2 is 0. This is our situation according to subcase 1. So when a period ball strikes a stationary period ball, what happens on a table? Then that ball starts moving and previous ball comes to rest. This is as per our mathematics also. We are getting the same thing here, right? So that means our first ball will come to rest. V1 is 0 as it is clear from the calculations. V1 will be 0 and V2 is U1. The final velocity of second period ball is equal to initial velocity of first ball. It will start moving with velocity that the first ball was having before collision. So I hope this situation is full table. Okay, you hit one billiard ball which is at rest with another ball. That ball starts moving and previous ball comes to rest. So this is our yes. If it is not clear to anyone, students, you can raise your hand. If it is not clear, students, you can raise your hand. See up till here. Everything is okay, right? Okay, noted down. So this is our sub case 1 under case 2 and second ball is at rest. Now sub case 2. Sub case 2. Let's assume that mass m1 is very large in comparison to mass m2. That means we can put m2 approximately equal to 0. Mass m2 is so small in comparison to the m1, then let us put m2 equal to 0 in these expressions. So what do we get? In the value, see what do we get? So v1 will be equal to m2 equal to 0. This vanishes, m1 over m1 get cancelled, v1 is equal to u1. v1 is equal to u1 and v2. Let us find v2. 2m1 over m1 into u1. m1 gets cancelled, we get 2u1. This is very interesting case. So visualize the situation again, what we are doing. When very heavy mass, very heavy object strikes a very light object which is at rest, then nothing happens to the heavier object. It keeps on moving with its own velocity after collision also. But second object, lighter object which was at rest earlier, it starts moving with double the speed of first object. We can have a case of truck and cycle. You know, a truck is very massive in comparison to a cycle. So imagine there is a truck M1 of mass M1. It is going to strike a cycle which is at rest. So what will happen? When the truck collides with that cycle at rest, nothing happens to the velocity of truck. It keeps on moving in the same direction with the same velocity. But cycle is dragged along with double the velocity of truck. Because of its lighter mass, it will move with double the velocity. So this is the case here. You can sum up in words also. So write the situation in words. Write down. When a heavier object, write down this sub case 2 in your own words. So when a heavier object strikes a lighter object at rest, when a heavier object strikes a lighter object at rest, the velocity of heavier object remains unchanged. The velocity of heavier object remains unchanged, but the lighter object starts moving with double the velocity of first object. Lighter object starts moving with double the velocity of first object. So this is our subcase 2. Now subcase 3. Sub case 3. M1 is very small in comparison to M2. So we can put M1 equal to 0 approximately. Now we are imagining that a very light object strikes with a very heavy object at rest. So put M1 equal to 0 in both the expressions of E1 and V2 and tell me what to do. I ask from you now. Put in these values, put M1 equal to 0 in expressions of E1 and V2 that I have written here. I am going to ask from you, raise hand. So E1 is minus mu1 and V2 is 0. So visualize this situation, what is happening exactly here. So a very lighter object is striking a heavy object which is at rest. So when it strikes, it rebounds, it comes back but with the same velocity. That is why we are having negative sign. That means it is changing its direction. And heavier body that still remains at rest. Nothing happens to it, it still remains at rest. Is that okay? So what can be the best example for this? A ball hitting a wall. Okay, suppose this is wall. It is a second object which is at rest. Its mass is m2 and it is at rest. Now when I throw a ball towards it, it will rebound and come back. With the same speed, it will come back. Okay, that was very light in comparison to mass of the ball. So lighter object comes back with the same speed, rebounds back with the same speed. But the wall still remains at rest. Wall wahi pe hai, wall rest pe hai. Okay, so write this situation in words. So when a lighter body, when a lighter object collides with, when a lighter object collides with a heavier object at rest, when a lighter object collides with a heavier object at rest, then nothing happens to the velocity of heavier object, nothing happens to the velocity of heavier object, but lighter object rebounds with the same velocity. But the lighter object rebounds back with the same velocity. So these are all the sub cases with examples. So our derivation, mathematical treatment of perfect elastic collision in one dimension, that is over. So any doubt from the whole derivation, now you can come with your doubts. Yes. If you have any doubt, students, have a look at the whole derivation once. Have a look at all the cases and sub cases and tell me right now if you are having any doubts. Yes. Beta, you can raise your hand. No doubts? Very good. Alright, so let us move on to the next derivation. Perfectly elastic collision again, but now in two dimensions. Now the objects will be changing their directions after the collision. Right? So be ready for that. Perfectly elastic collision. Perfectly elastic collision in two dimensions. Perfectly in two dimensions. So let us have the situation. M1 object moving with velocity u1 towards another object lying at rest u2 is 0. So they were before the collision, but after the collision, what happens? They change their directions. Okay, they are not confined to one direction. That's why we are discussing two dimensions. So suppose M1 is reflected here and M2 object is get goes. Okay, with final velocities V1 and V2 respectively. Suppose the after the collision are V1 and V2 respectively. So let us resolve V1 and V2 into two components. Suppose this angle is theta 1, then resolve V1 along two components. This component will be definitely V1 cos theta 1, resolution of vector, and this will be V1 sin theta 1. Is this resolution clear to you? This part V1 we have resolved into two parts, two rectangular components. Same way, I will be resolving V2 also into two components. Suppose this angle is theta 2 now. So this component is V2 sin theta 2 and this component is V2 cos theta 2. There are two components in this horizontal direction. They will get theta because they are in the same direction as well. Alright students. Okay, so this is the whole situation. Initially one ball was moving towards a stationary ball. After the collision, एक उधर चली जाती है, एक उधर चली जाती है. So again, here our aim is to find their final velocities V1 and V2. Suppose we know the angles theta 1 and theta 2, we can measure, right? So what laws can be used here? Like in yesterday's derivation, we applied two laws: law of conservation of momentum, law of conservation of kinetic energy. So same thing applies here also because this is also elastic collision. So let us first of all apply law of conservation of kinetic energy. Initial kinetic energy is equal to final kinetic energy. So let's write first equation. According to conservation of kinetic energy, initial kinetic energy is the energy of first ball because second ball is at rest. It doesn't have any kinetic energy. So I write half m1 u1 square plus 0, or you don't write it, that is up to you. Okay? Initial kinetic energy is equal to final kinetic energy. That is kinetic energy of first ball after the collision half m1 v1 square, and kinetic energy of second ball after the collision half m2 v2 square. Clear to you? In this equation, initial kinetic energy, final kinetic energy. After the collision, both are moving, so both have kinetic energy, right? Half gets cancelled on both sides, so we get our first equation: m1 u1 square is m1 v1 square plus m2 v2 square. Okay, this is equation number 1. This is our equation number 1. Here, m1 square is m1 v1 square plus m2 v2 square. Now let us apply the law of conservation of momentum. But you find momentum is a vector quantity. So we have to conserve it in horizontal and vertical directions separately because their components are involved. So let us have the conservation of momentum in horizontal direction first of all. Okay, so applying the law of conservation of momentum in horizontal direction. So I am rubbing it and writing it. You note down the first equation. Applying conservation of momentum in horizontal direction. First in horizontal direction. Okay, let us see what is the horizontal momentum of first of all. Yes, it was moving in horizontal direction. So it is having horizontal momentum m1 u1. Momentum of second ball is 0 because it was at rest initially. Before the collision, it is at rest. Alright. Then, what is the momentum of first ball in horizontal direction? You can see its horizontal component is v1 cos theta. So its the momentum will be m1 multiplied with mass. m1 u1 cos theta plus momentum of second ball, and we know its component is also in the same direction. So both the components will get added up. Okay, so m1 v1 cos theta 1 and V2 cos theta. This is our equation number 2. We need not solve it, we will leave it up here. So is this equation clear to you? We have conserved momentum in horizontal direction. So that's why we are taking only horizontal components of velocities of first and second object after the motion. So m1 v1 cos theta 1 plus m2 v2 cos theta 1. Equation clear? And now you can fine, students. Now the last thing is conservation of momentum in the vertical direction as well. So let us conserve momentum in the vertical direction now. So in vertical direction. What is initial momentum in vertical direction? 0. Because the first ball is moving in horizontal direction that we have already considered. It is not having any component of velocity in the vertical direction. So initial momentum of both the balls in vertical direction is 0. So I write. And what is the momentum of both the balls after the collision in vertical direction? You can see both the vertical components are in the opposite direction, so we have to use a negative sign for any one of the components. Suppose we take the upward component positive, then downward component should be negative. So I am writing it. Momentum of first ball in the vertical direction is m1 v1 sin theta 1. Then of second ball will be minus m2 v2 sin theta 2. This is equation number 3. This is our equation number 3. With this, we come to the end of this derivation. We are not further. Maximum what you can do is you can write equation number 3 as take one term on the other side, and you can write m1 v1 sin theta 1 is equal to m2 v2 sin theta 2. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 equations. So you will just comment in the end after putting the values of u1, u2, m1, m2, theta 1 and theta 2, we can find velocities. So after solving equation number 1, 2 and 3, we can find final velocities v1 and v2. So we are not to solve this, and by putting in the values of all the things, we can find velocities v1 and v2. So with this, we come to the end of this derivation of elastic collision. And one derivation is left, perfectly inelastic collision, that we will be continuing tomorrow. So we are not having too much time there. No problems. All right. So you will see the and please tell me if you are having any. If any point is not clear to you, you can ask me. Kinetic energy is a scalar quantity, so that's why we have just written initial kinetic energy, the final kinetic energy. We need not worry about the components of velocity. But momentum, I told you, it's a vector quantity, so that's why we have to take care of its components in horizontal and vertical direction separately. Yes, students, raise your hand if you have any doubt in this. Well, as per the diagram. Yes, anybody having any doubt? Yes, students, any doubts? You can raise your hand. Okay, very good. So you all are getting it. So let us start with the last derivation of our unit. Perfectly inelastic collision in one dimension. Again, we are going to discuss it in one dimension. But before that, let us arrive at very important result. Let us calculate coefficient of restitution also for a perfectly elastic collision. I remind you first of all what is perfectly inelastic collision. It is a collision in which momentum is conserved, kinetic energy is not conserved, the objects move together as a combined system because the objects stick together after the collision. They become one unit after the collision. Okay, I gave you examples of a man jumping from a cart onto the ground. So he sticks onto the ground. He doesn't rebound back. This is an example of perfectly inelastic collision. Then a ball, a clay ball thrown on the ground. It sticks there. It doesn't rebound back at all. So that is also an example of perfectly inelastic collision. A cake of mud thrown on the wall. Again, mud sticks to the wall. This is an example of perfectly inelastic collision. A bullet fired towards a wooden block. Bullet gets embedded into the block, it becomes a part of it, and it drags the block along with it. As a combined system, they start moving with a common velocity. So in some cases, common velocity, also in some cases, common velocity is not zero. So let us take one such example, one such situation. So perfectly in one dimension. Okay. Now this is perfectly inelastic collision in one dimension. In one dimension. So the situation is again we will be taking two balls. So we have ball M1 moving with velocity U1 towards the ball M2 moving with velocity U. So they are moving in the same direction, right? Alright. Now after the collision, what happens? They stick together and move with a common velocity. They behave as a combined system and move with a common velocity v. Alright. So this is the situation moving along one particular direction. After the collision, they stick together and move with a common velocity. So first thing is we have to find common velocity, and I told you we will also calculate coefficient of restitution. How do we define coefficient of restitution? Relative velocity of separation over relative velocity of approach. This was the formula you remember. Okay, it was 1 for perfectly elastic collision. We are going to calculate it for perfectly inelastic collision. And you know what is V1, V2? Both are equal to 0 here. So what is our E? E is 0. So for perfectly inelastic collision, E will be 0 always. Note it down. So for perfectly inelastic collision, what is the value of coefficient of restitution? That is 0. And for inelastic collision, it will lie between 0 and 1.